9 in this edition of the IPL. All teams have played 2 matches except for Hyderabad. Everyone has been able to register their first win, which means 2 points. So it's a big game for Hyderabad tonight. Joining me on the show is the Sports Interactive CEO, Arvind Iyengar, to give us his fantasy picks for the match. Arvind, let's get started. Give me your top batsman and wicketkeeper for this game.
Well, we're going to start with Hyderabad. And like you said, they need to get their first points of the tournament. And they're going to have to be led front by their captain, David Warner. Warner, I think, ranks the highest on our fantasy scoring. He's trying to get his 50th 50 across all editions of the tournament. He'd be the first person to do that. And, he's coming off a 50 against Bangalore, but there was that epic collapse. So he'll want to get them over the line in this game. On the other side, you've got Surya Kumar Yadav, who's very much the man in form. If you look at his last 4 T20s, scores of 56, 57, 31, 32. So he's always got, a 30 plus score, a couple of times getting past the 50 mark as well. Does really well against spin. Obviously, Rashid Khan is a different challenge, but I think that's going to be an interesting one to watch. And he's someone else we're picking. And the third is Quentin De Cocka. Well, he's only had 1 game so far. He's going to have to come good for Mumbai, and we think he could be a good pick in this game.
That's interesting. You've picked Quentin De Cocka in your list. Any reason? Because he didn't perform particularly well versus Kolkata.
Yeah, he missed that first game. But what's interesting, and one of the reasons we've picked him is his record against Hyderabad. In the 4 games that he's played against Hyderabad ever since he's joined Mumbai, you can see over there he's managed to get runs, even if it's a small score, to a couple of times getting past 50. And those fantasy points, 30 to 40 points at the lower end, but 100 plus when he gets going. And that's also because in addition to his batting and his strike rate and boundaries that get him those points, as a keeper, he has those chances to get you, about 1 catch or 1 stumping a match on average, 1 dismissal that he's averaging gets you more points as well. So he's definitely one to watch out for, and his record versus Hyderabad speaks volumes.
Arvind, let's talk a little bit about the batsmen, and I would be really interested to know about Cain Williamson. Where does he fit in? Is he one of the fantasy players as well? Though Hyderabad has yet not played him, but do you see a chance of Cain Williamson coming in? He is like a life insurance to a team. He may not, if he comes in the middle order, he will be there till the end to win you the match. So does he figure as one of the fantasy players? And if not, why?
Well, he's definitely interesting when you think about the middle order troubles Hyderabad have had, but he is still recovering from his injury. So it's unclear if he's going to be fit to even play this game. And therefore, I think it's just a question of when he comes back from that fitness. And then it's really going to be a trade-off of if you've got Warner and you've got Rashid Khan who pick themselves, Bairstow up the order might make sense. So then do you trade off one of the all-rounders, whether that's a holder or a Nabi for Williamson, or do you actually not play Bairstow, say Saha keeps, and then get Williamson in for stability? So that's something they'll wait and watch. But I think more than Williamson, maybe moving Bairstow up the order and obviously continuing to rely on that top 3 with Warner, Bairstow and Manish Pandey, I think will be important for Hyderabad.
Also, Manish Pandey, I remember you had put in your last game as a fantasy player, but this game he doesn't feature there.
I think he'd be there as our next list, right? So when you start to think of the entire list of batsmen and keepers and you have to pick some, he's someone we definitely look at. So he'd be the second person from Hyderabad we look at as batsman. But just in terms of the top 3, especially, I think De Cocka's one who's probably lower rated, but because of how he does against this opposition and the fact that he gets you points as keepers, we got him in our top 3.
Okay, let's talk about the bowlers. Give us your top picks in terms of the bowlers.
Well, there's one trend that's been very interesting this year for all the matches at Chepauk. And if you look at the total of the 62 wickets that have fallen so far in the 4 matches that have happened, 31, that's half the wickets have happened between overs 17 and 20. Now, it's normal to lose more wickets at the death, but to have 50% of the wickets just in that 4 overs span is quite abnormal compared to past trends. And I think that's telling a little bit about the nature of the pitch. Teams are going in a bit carefully, trying to attack at the end, but I'm not really able to get it away that much at the end. And so I'd really look at bowlers who are bowling those over 17, 18, 19, 20, whether that's a Bolt and a Bumrah for Mumbai, or whether a Bhuvneshwar Kumar or even a Natarajan for Hyderabad because that's where the wickets are coming.
Very, very interesting, that is. So do you think that this is turning out to be a bowler's IPL, despite we've had a couple of high-scoring games?
Well, with Chennai in particular on that pitch, it's always been a bit bowler-friendly, usually more spinner-friendly, and we've seen that as well with Mumbai's comeback.
But even in Mumbai, we had 2 low-scoring games.
That's true. That's true. So maybe it's the return of the bowlers, which is probably not a bad thing for the balance of the game.
Absolutely. For the balance of the tournament, it's a great, great thing. Now, tell me about your all-rounders who you think are great fantasy picks.
So the first one we've rated, and assuming he gets picked in the 11, is Jason Holder. Right now, there are chances he may not play. There is that trade-off with Nabi if he's fit versus Holder, but Holder had a good game last time. And he's also someone who might bowl at the depth, right? So he gets you those bowling points. And then of the other 2 we've got here on the list, I'm actually more bullish on Krunal Pandya because on this pitch, he's more likely to get you your full quota of 4 overs. He did really well. He's not come good with the bat yet, but he's bound to have one good game. Whereas when you look at Pollard and Pandya, Mumbai's other all-rounders, just on this pitch, they're less likely to bowl much, if at all. So you're primarily picking them for their batting.
Mm-hmm. Arvind, give us your entire team now. Who are the other fantasy picks? Also the budget picks.
Yeah, so I think, some of the interesting ones which you talked about already, Rika, whether that's Manish Pandey, I think Natarajan would be a really interesting pick over here. And then I think we talked about Rashid, we talked about Bumrah.
What are the credits Natarajan has?
Sorry?
What are the credits that Natarajan has?
Varies by different platforms, but it's about 8.5 credits.
Okay.
So definitely someone who I think would be a good value pick in this game.
Mm-hmm. And finally, about the X Factor players, who are going to be those X Factor players for this game?
So Krunal Pandya is one who we just talked about, but when you start to think about his variance in performance, while he can give you that consistent performance, his X Factor is really high because he can get you 2 or 3 wickets, especially on this pitch, but he can also go off for quick fire 30, 40. So him in particular is someone I'm watching out for today.
Arvind, talking about last night's game, Deepak Chahar, I do remember you had picked as one of the top fantasy players, and he did give you the returns. Tell us about, his performance and the way he completely gobsmacked the opposition.
That was unbelievable performance by him. I mean, 4 of those wickets and high quality wickets, right at the top. So his best bowling figures in this tournament, and more power to him. I think that is something that no one saw coming. And then the saving light at some level, which Punjab will take as a positive, is the performance of Shah Rukh Khan, someone else we talked about, so they can look forward to that. But for Chennai, great for them to get their first win, great for their fans to see that first win. And the good thing about fantasy is even when the game felt like it was decided, you had someone like Mohammad Shami come in and get 2 wickets and get those fantasy points. So sometimes it might be over on the pitch, but off the pitch, there's still a lot going on. So just keep watching out for those playing 11s.
Interestingly, there are so many twists and turns in this IPL that when you think that the game is settled, there's another quick turn. It happened last night. It happened the night before. So we will keep waiting and watching for a lot more during this edition of the IPL. Thank you very much, Arvind, for joining us.
Perfect. Thanks, Rika.